Okay.
Okay, thanks. Well, welcome this morning. We're gonna bring this committee meeting to order. September 13th of 2022, we made it. Some of you are real familiar with this setting. Others of you in the audience are not. Some of us up here are very familiar with this setting and glad to be back here. So appreciate the technology work here. That's a lot to ask, and we just, people like me take that for granted. When it doesn't work, we just holler, but I appreciate the work. So the Zoom, we have some people on Zoom, and we'll go ahead and conduct the meeting. The committee members, I'm not listed on the committee member here. We had a different plan for today, but my name is Patsy Zeller, the Director of Nursing Education and Allied Health at Garden City Community College, and been board member for several years, but my name's not on here. So just so I'm not Juliana, she's on the Zoom. You'll see her there. But we'll go ahead and start and call the meeting to order. The first thing I see here is review of on-site packet. Do we have anything? We do not have an on-site. Nothing in the on-site packet. So we will go to additions, revision to the agenda. Is there any change in the schedule for the agenda today? The only thing I saw there was Janelle had mentioned we need to add something, and we'll add it to new business number E. Just some information about scholarships coming up, and we'll get to that when we don't have all the details, but we'll give some more details at that. That will be E under new business. Any other additions or revisions to the agenda? Not that I'm aware. And so we have a motion in front of us, and one of us on the committee will have to read the motion if you're willing to do that. So for something a little different than you've done.
Yeah.
I guess we don't have one for the agenda.
Do not have one to amend the agenda.
Or accept it. Okay,
We don't need to do it.
Okay. So we're moving right on to announcements. Carol has some announcements.
I do. To help clear up what we're supposed to. Just first of all, welcome back, everybody. It's really great to see all your faces again. Just to remind the committee members, the motions will be like we used to do it before we met virtually, which means the motions are laying there. They should be in the order. And so whoever makes the motion needs to sign it and check your name and then check whoever seconds it. And then you can just leave them lay there and we'll pick them up after the fact. But the staff will not be reading them like we did when we met virtually. You guys are gonna have to do that, I'm sorry. All right.
And the piece that we had an announcement is we have a certificate giveaway.
Yeah.
Last meeting for the education committee, right? Christina, you want to come up here? How long have you been on the committee?
4 years.
4 years. She's like, 4 years. Like Phil said yesterday, or someone mentioned yesterday, that being on the committee or working on the board was not one of those. It looks really good on the resume. You don't have to do anything. These are working boards. Some people don't understand that. Christine, she does know. Because she's volunteering all the time. And like yesterday at our meeting, I added a few more things to her plate. I have the assignment. So we appreciate your work, Christina. And there's your certificate.
Thank you very much.
Now we have this on roll, ready for approval of the minutes. Did anybody have anything in the minutes that they saw we needed to correct in spelling, anything? Thank you guys for making this really easy. I need a motion for that.
I move to approve the June 28, 2022 Education Committee minutes as written. I'll second.
A motion and a second. Do I hear any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Opposed, say no. Looks like that motion carried. Thank you. And then the next thing on the agenda is nursing education compliance officer report.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Janelle Martin, Nursing Education Compliance Officer, for those who've not met me in person. Rather brief report this time. We've been busy doing a lot of preparation, but I didn't have a lot of changes. I did want to mention Bethel College had a change in their leadership. Sarah Masson has been working as their interim director, and they have hired Becky Bartel as their new, and she's actually still going to be the interim director, but she is also teaching for Bethel, and Sarah is going to take the assistant director role. One change I did not get in here, and I apologize. We did have a letter announcing Pratt Community College has discontinued their PN program. Some of you may know the ADN program was discontinued the year before. And due to some other factors, they have also decided to discontinue that. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that sometimes comes up when, and I believe I've already changed the list on the website, so it should be current for the approved programs. Lots of activities, just our FQRs. I'm not going to mention much about that, just that it's been busy. You all are working hard to get complete faculties going, and I understand that it's and all very cooperative when I have questions or need you to do something, so I really appreciate that. Wanted to mention just here, we are working with NCSBN for the second year on our education survey. I just wanted to mention, in case I hadn't done this before, NCSBN has a core survey, and the decision was made to work with them because that core data really helps us, or will help us, when they're getting ready to publish the first pilot report that will look at all the states that were in the pilot program. And we'll be able to see as a state how we compare on all the core data. And the core data pertains to the nursing program guidelines that they had put out in 2019, I believe, or 2020. It was just right before COVID, I believe, when maybe the year before when that came out. So what's nice about that is that the guidelines that they put out are really a way for us to look at programs, us as boards, to look at factors that might help us look at if our programs, there's red flags and things that they found in nursing programs when they did all the 5 years of research for programs to come up with the guidelines. So it helps us look at things other than pass rates. And it helps, I think, helps do an assessment. And I think that's a lot of what programs are doing anyway, when you're looking at, okay, what's happening here besides our pass rates have kind of gone down, what factors can I look at? So I think that's going to be very, very helpful. The first year of doing it is always a little bit rough. It seemed like this year it went a little smoother. We did have a little bit of a glitch, which I'll mention later. So the data did not get ready quite as soon. And I guess I'll mention more about that later, but they've been great to work with. They're very responsive. I feel like, and I've gotten feedback from some of the administrators as well, that they're other than when people go on vacation. So, and that happens in the summer. So we had a little bit of that, but for the most part, I think it went pretty well. A couple of reminders, if you haven't already and want to, the NCLEX conference is still planned for virtual this year. They're doing it for one day. They will record it, but you can register for it pretty much up until the date, which is next week, September 22nd. It's a Thursday. You could still register to attend, and I actually put the link in here if anybody's still interested in doing that. Also put a plug in for the Academy Fall Forum, which is being planned for October 27th and 28th, and will be held at Butler County Community College this year in El Dorado. So if you have, I think a lot of information has gone out, but if anybody hasn't gotten it that wants it, you can let me know and I can send that out as well. Many of you attended the program administrator update yesterday. Appreciate your attendance. There was also the first part of this session was kind of nuts and bolts for some of our new administrators. And I just wanted to let you know, last year we did record it because we were on Zoom. This year we did not. The investigative committee was going on, and we only have licenses to do it one place at a time. So yesterday's event was not recorded, but I will be putting the slides that we use. So all the information will be available on that slide deck, and I will put it out under the program administrative resources on the website. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. I think I had a couple of people asking when the recording would be available. So I will also send an email reminder about that. That's all I have unless there are questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. We'll just move on then next to the site visit report. Okay.
In June, Rasmussen, ADN program, there was a site visit report given. And, one of the recommendations was that they be approved for a time period of national accreditation if all recommendations were completed in the given timeframes. And so the board had, or the committee had asked it to come back, before the approval was given to make sure those recommendations did get addressed, at least the draft recommendations at the time it wasn't approved. So I just wanted to let you know, and I did put in your packet, there was a letter sent. I did receive all the information. It addressed all the recommendations that were drafted. So if none of those have changed, and I don't think that they have submitted all evidence to meet that. So we are just bringing it back to let you know that. And at this time, we would then need to do the approvals. Do the approval for that if there are no questions related to that.
Any questions on the committee? I guess we're ready for another motion.
I'll make a motion. I move to accept the site visit report for Rasmussen University ADN program and reapprove the ADN program for a time period of national accreditation. All recommendations were completed and given timeframes.
Motion, do I have a second? I'll second. Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. New business, major curriculum change request from Donnelly College. Yeah, he's here. The hot seat, right for you. Hot seat first one. Want to just give us a short review of what this curriculum change is?
Yeah, so currently we have, we've always had an evening program, evening and weekend intake in January and then August. A couple of years ago, in COVID years, we asked for a day cohort in the August as well, just to see if we were able to take that bandwidth on. Because we do have quite a wait list of people who are qualified to go into the practical nursing. We would like to change our spring cohort to match our fall and add a day cohort in the spring as well. Cohort of 25 so that everything matches what we're currently doing in the fall semesters.
Any questions from the committee? What's that request? That's an additional 25 seats.
Additional 25 seats. They would follow the same as everything else that we're doing.
Okay, I guess we're ready for a motion.
I move to approve the major curriculum change request from Donnelly College PN program to add a cohort of 25 students for the January admission timeframe beginning January 2023. This is Michelle Bershai, second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. A lot of work for a short amount of time here. Right? The next one we have on the list here is Barton Community College, the PM program. My name is yours.
Good morning.
Give us a little overview of what your change is going to be.
So Janelle mentioned that Pratt Community College made the decision to withdraw to end their practical nursing program. So we entered into an agreement with Pratt a year ago that they would continue to have the practical nursing program and Barton would have the associate degree. With their decision to stop the practical nursing program, we are here to request 30 seats for a practical nursing program. We really need those students to be the feeder for our associate degree program. I had meetings with Pratt Community College and there are a lot of students interested in pre-nursing. We were able to absorb about 4 students into our PN program this year when they made the decision to close. So we have a little bit of seed students, I guess you would call them. So, that's what we're here for, is just a request to put our practical nursing program in practice.
And you already have made a move here with your ADN part.
Yes, and we actually have 12 students starting there this fall.
Any questions?
So would this be kind of like what we did with K-State and WSU, or we'd have to do something or no?
We did do a site visit with the ADN before they started. Our thought was it was a one-day visit just to make sure things were in place for the PN. So it would be, it's like we did do that for the last, I think, 3 to 4 weeks.
It'll be on the Pratt Community College site. Pratt Community College is supplying the classroom, labs, all their mannequins, we're just it's gonna be the Barton program at the Pratt Community.
We did the site visit because the physical, obviously the physical location, we wanted to make sure everything was up to date. Now, we did do it last year for the ADN. It would be up to the board, I think at that point. The site visit gave us a look at the facilities and but this would be for the PN. Get a little bit better idea of how it's gonna work with the ADN on site, and if the facilities are available, that there's enough facility available for both. So I think the idea would be that would be just a one-day visit to make sure everything's in place before they admit students. That's how we did it with the last. So that would be up to you. If that continues to be the way that we manage that.
So how about if we,
We admit one time a year in the fall, so we're not looking until fall of 23.
so maybe we should go ahead with the motion and then, if that passes, then we'll decide how we're gonna handle that. So,
I'll move to approve the major breakdown change request from Barton Community College, the end program to add a satellite location for 30 additional students annually on the campus of Pratt Community College.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any other discussion?
So do we need to create another motion for, how does that? I don't remember how we did it last time.
Yeah, I think it would just be how we wanted to handle it. I don't really think we need a motion. It's just how we'll handle that. So,
Okay.
I have a motion is second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Sorry. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Okay, now nuts and bolts of how we'll handle that. Any suggestions from the team?
We could, obviously, we could handle it the way we did with the last one and do the one-day visit, or we could, if you wanted me to pull the information from the last site visit, and the PN programs curriculum has already been approved, so they're just, like I said, adding the site. It's more about the physical facilities at that point, and if we want an additional visit to make sure that the spaces are there for leadership.
One thing I've learned in helping this process is to keep things consistent. So for me, it would be something that I think we should check the box and be done with sort of the same with every change for anybody else too. If everyone's okay with that, we just gave Janelle another thing we can get taken care of. Okay. Thanks for that.
The reminder to make sure you speak up so the little.
Oh, notice we're talking.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
these ones. It's something else.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you, Renee.
Okay, we're going to move on with new business to Baker University, the BSN program.
We would like to increase the hours from 2 to 2.5 in the NU 486 transition to nursing practice didactic course. This would allow about 7.5 more hours for comprehensive completion of the course outcome.
What we found is COVID is catching up with our students as far as them being online learners prior to coming to the nursing program. So we want to increase it to work on test taking strategies, study strategies,
more exams and with the implementation of NGN, more time to go over those question types and review.
Any questions? I think we've all at our schools had the same discussion, so. Glad to see you here. If no questions, I'm ready for motion.
This is Michelle Birch, I'll make a motion. I move to approve the major curriculum change request from Baker University BSN program to increase the hours from 2 to 2.5 in NU 486, transition to nursing practice didactic course.
Motion, need a second.
I'll second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you. The next one we have is Washburn Tech.
So our request is that we change 3 of our courses, PNS 101, Foundations of Nursing, 152, Adult 1, Med Surg, and then 221, Maternal Child. Those are 3 didactic courses, and we would like to offer them in a hybrid mode of delivery instead of just in person.
Any questions from the group? Guess we're ready for a motion.
I guess I have a pitch. So this is 3 classes going to hybrid. And then any concerns with being online or moving? No.
No, we've offered some of that online delivery during the COVID pandemic, and students want some of that online, but some in person as well. So our labs would all still be in person. Clinicals are separate courses. It would be mixed at this point that we're looking.
Has the faculty discussed like how much would be online versus face-to-face? Or is there a college policy that says you have to have a certain percentage?
We don't know. No, there's no.
Our one, like at our university, one thing that I've noticed is that you can't, we have to be really careful and cautious about international students with online courses. And so I just didn't know if you considered that, if they can only have like 1 in a semester.
No, we have not. We don't have any international students at this point in that level, so that hadn't been something we considered.
If you did, that may just be something that you can think about or consider, because that would keep them from being able to do the hybrid format potentially, so.
Any other questions? Guess we're ready for a motion.
I move to approve the major curriculum change request from Washburn Tech to change didactic courses PNS 101, PNS 152, and PNS 221 from in-person to hybrid delivery.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Ottawa University initial application for the BSN.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Dr. Ruth Burkhardt, and I am here as the Director of Nursing for Ottawa University. Currently, we only have RN to BSN and MSN online. That has been going RN to BSN since 2014, MSN since 2019 is when it was accredited. Both of them were accredited by CCNE. And we have had a lot of feedback from our community partners and students to add a BSN on site. And that was our proposal. And to give you an idea of our framework, This is an 8-semester or 8-term, 8-week. You're gonna have 8-week terms. Rolling year round. With about 3.5 weeks off over the Christmas holiday. And there are 3 online classes. And 3 hybrid. And the rest are on site. We have clinical affiliate agreements with 5 networks. We have the Prime Network in Western and Western Kansas City regional area. And then on the Missouri side, they have 2 hospitals there as well. We have Advent Health. They have 3 major hospitals in the metro area. On the Kansas side, we have HCA, which has quite a few hospital complexes between the Kansas and Missouri side of the metro area. And we have St. Luke's. And then we have Olathe Health Systems, Olathe Medical Center. So the outpouring of support from our clinical partners, our clinical affiliates has been enormous. As you know, we're in an all hands on deck situation with nursing shortage. And it was really at their urging and at feedback from students that we decided to go down this path. Are there any questions?
I guess I'll be the one that asked the question about, I know your hospital partners have agreed to provide clinical opportunities for your students. And it sounds like most of the clinical sites would be in the Kansas City area, is that correct?
The broader, there's like a 13 county area, so it's quite broad from the northeast to northwest, southeast to southwest, and then in the middle portion.
I'm hearing Prime, I'm hearing St. Luke's, I'm hearing Advent. That competes with a lot of the Kansas City metro clinical opportunities. And we've had mass challenges of getting clinical sites ourselves. So I guess my question is, what thoughts or challenges have you anticipated? And do you plan on applying to be like a MOCAN partner to secure clinical affiliation? And then if you have you sought that support yet?
Yes, actually, we have the coordinator of that is on our nursing advisory board. We have Karen LaMartina, Johnson County Community College RN director is on our board. Community College program director is on our board. So we have a broad swath that I've been working with for a couple of years here. And of course, there are concerns, and we are competing. Our campus will not be a residential one. We are really hoping to directly impact a regional and even a Kansas workforce. So we're offering another option because it's time accelerated. It will just be one option. It won't be for everybody, but we do feel that it would fit a niche area for some students and give them an opportunity.
I suppose this, my only concern is that some in the metro have not even been able to take students because of the lack of clinical opportunities and opportunities for clinical faculty. And so that's just my only concern.
Well, it is. I mean, we're all in this together, and I've only been at Ottawa 2 years. I came from New Mexico State University, where I was there many, many years, was on the state committee. This is a rough and tumble. This is in a rough and tumble time. As I said, we are responding to what we have been told. There's a tremendous need in the 2 years I've been here. I can see that. I do feel we have an outpouring of support. I have not received feedback in any of my networking that would tell me otherwise. So I do believe that we can do it. And there again, this is one option. It is an area that won't be for everybody in terms of nursing education this way, but I do believe it will serve the purpose and help out with our nursing workforce.
Any other questions? The only one I have is the number of students that you're requesting.
Yes, we are requesting 25. And that would be our plan. Thank you for reminding me that I have planned to address that. That's in our proposal as well. We are requesting 25. We would like to admit 3 times a year because we're on a rolling calendar. So that would be in January, May, and late August of every year.
So admitting 25 each cycle.
Right.
So this request is for initial applications, so go to college, usually this team works to vote yes or no to give that, and then a visit before any
Correct.
students would be allowed to be. So, just for clarification. Any other questions?
And guess, just a reminder, Michelle, at the time we do the site visit, then we would look at contracts that are signed and to make sure that there are spaces available for the students. That would help that answer that question before the final approval is given.
If there's no other questions, then I think we're ready for a motion.
I move to accept the initial nursing program application, by Ottawa University to offer a BSN program at the Overland Park location with a site visit to occur before approval is given to admit students.
Motion, do we have a second? Second. Any other discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no.
How they know.
Any abstentions? That motion carries. Next on the agenda is annual education report.
So this is, I mentioned this earlier, yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We had a couple of delays, a couple of programs had some issues with some data. And so they got that resolved. It was a little bit after our time frame of June 30th. So NCSBN had to push back a little bit of their time. So I did not receive the data for the basic annual report until the day before the packet went out. So we are asking to delay reporting on our education annual report data and statistics to the December meeting, when both reports will be available then, the core data from NCSBN and our normal annual statistics report as well. They apologize for the delay, but it was kind of on us too, not getting it all in quite at the time that had been asked.
So this will be item we'll move to the December meeting.
Yes, please.
Just for clarity, please. So if, with us moving that to the December meeting, can we still do our annual report, the approval of programs? We don't have everything. I don't know.
That's a good question. Usually we look at the data. Part of it is that all annual reports have all been submitted. I don't know that I hadn't thought of that. Christine, thank you.
Sorry.
Well, no, I know most people are looking for that. Your approvals are actually good for the schools till the end of this year. The meeting I just have to try to get those letters out then as quickly as possible. So you have it still would cover everybody. But I think I agree with, for my part, it not having the data, we usually do the annual reapproval. And the regulations say that part of that is that all annual reports are turned in, and we do know that happened, but we want to make sure that it's all there and confirmed. So
How's the rest of the team feel?
that's up to you.
I think it makes sense to wait to vote on that until December when we have a chance to look at the data.
It's one of those things we're always working with faculty and we collect the data for what, unless we're gonna look at it, right? So good. So the next motion we have, we might change that, make a motion to put it on the next agenda, or because the next motion was to approve the full status.
Those, essentially both be moved to December.
Okay. So if we're okay with moving that, we just won't address. So
Table
let's,
till then.
so come in December or virtual or whatever it's going to be, so you can see the rest of the report. Okay, we'll move right on to scholarship information. And Janelle, you want to-
I just want to make mention, this is usually the meeting, and I apologize with all the other things that were happening with legislative things and going on. I kind of missed that. We usually this time of year are looking at the scholarship, the essay topic that we ask scholarship applicants to address. I didn't want to delay talking about that. The thing is, we do not have a confirmation for sure yet that those scholarships will be available. We work with Arthur Davis on that. And we do need to make sure, we haven't had any indication they won't, but we also do not have confirmation that they will for sure. So I just wanted to make it clear. We're talking about this more in a theoretical. I want to make sure that if we get the okay, which we're hoping to look at here in the next couple of weeks, that information could go out to the programs then as soon as I find out if that's available. But with all of you here now, if we don't address the topic, then it has to wait and then everything gets delayed. And that's when we usually do have them submit essays through the end of November. And then we have January or December and January. Of course, December, it's kind of busy with the board meeting and other things, but usually till the end of January, then to have board members and committee members review all of the essays, make their decision, and then in March, those scholarships are presented pending approval of the scholarships. So in order to do that, I would just bring to you, if the scholarship topic the last 2 years has been on the pandemic, how has the pandemic changed nursing, and what's that done? So just bringing it to you to see if there's something else. We've done 2 years of that. Do you want to try something else? Is there something else about the pandemic? Kind of up to you. If there's a different topic that's kind of out there and new that you'd like to see students address in the present day environment. So that's what we're asking for.
How much technology we can use now? With the telehealth increase and everything else.
Yeah, we don't have secured for sure if a scholarship will even be available and our other resources. So that's yet to come. But in essence of time, we were talking about a topic, if we could, that just in case that works for us.
So if we choose a topic and we do get the scholarship, you can just send out the letters.
Right. By the way,
Makes sense.
we kind of stay on the same timeline as before. So technology, any other?
I was trying to remember the topic right before pandemic. I was going to look that up and I forgot. I know technology was addressed maybe a couple of topics ago, but it would have been addressed in it just depends on how you want to address it.
Transition into practice and the orientation that they're receiving. I think that's always a challenge, but I'm just throwing things out there.
Yeah, these are going to be students applying for it that are current students. Both PN and. If they have an insider about access to care.
That's a huge healthcare.
It's a big rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I hear a lot about how the preceptors and, well, this is, need to speak to PNs too, but how the clinical setting, are they getting the support they need in the clinical setting, and the challenges that they're seeing there as far as incivility within preceptors that students have had challenges with.
Incivility is a topic.
That'd be a
Be
big
addressed
one,
in
too.
some manner.
There's a lot of that happening. With everybody being short-staffed and burnt out.
Along those same lines, one of the things we've been discussing are new models of care And, many of our graduating RNs have never worked with LPNs. And so that's something in a practice setting that we're really talking about is how to do team-based nursing as opposed to, direct nursing care.
I like that one. That's good too.
I would definitely affect all levels too.
About topics for the next 5 years, so we're doing.
And I guess another thing too is once we find out, I could also, I don't know if there's a way to, after the fact, if you want to narrow it down to a couple, if you want me to,
Well, I think we could probably decide today.
Yeah.
Team-based nursing, is that what are we okay with that for now? Or?
So team-based, or, I mean,
what would
What
you want
about
them to address?
delegation and, like for the RN, how do they delegate to the PN and PN are they accepting that delegation? Just throwing out ideas. And then how do they delegate to the CNA? The whole team of.
Communication, right? So, I kind of need a question for them, like the other was, how has the pandemic changed nursing, right? So.
Maybe it's more about how has the nursing shortage changed the practice of nursing with respect to delegation, because I think it can even be from a novice nurse to an expert nurse, and knowing that collaboration needs to exist between a novice RN and an expert RN, and the delegation there. So maybe it's how has the nursing shortage impacted models of care?
I like that.
Some of the educators probably are more articulate than I am about how to work that question.
It certainly is a real struggle, so I think it's a great idea, so. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I wrote down, how has the nursing shortage impacted models of care?
Or
nursing.
Yeah, models of nursing care.
Okay.
I could see them going down the road. Telehealth or community health.
Rabbit
or-
hole.
Yeah, it's like,
Okay, how has the nursing shortage impacted models of nursing care? I think that's great.
I like
So
that.
the timeline here is, once we confirm whatever scholarship is going to be available, then you'll send out the information so we can have students.
Absolutely.
apply for that.
So I will send it out to all my program administrators. We'll get it on the website, and we can also notify you all too.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Okay, now we're moving on to unfinished business. Annual report update.
That's on, yeah, that's on hold with the other annual data. They had hoped to have it out by now, but we're still kind of struggling with the priorities issue. So still on the unfinished list.
So it looks like we have a few things here for the December's meeting, right? Unfinished business is revision of KAR 60-2-103. I think that pertains to the preceptor PRN. Carol, do you want to talk to that?
Sure. This is Carol Moreland, and on page 157 in your packet is a draft of a revision for 60-2-103. And just remember kind of the history of why we're doing this is right now, the PN programs cannot have preceptors. It's only in regulation for the RN programs. And there was some discussion, and the request came forward to work on a revision that would include preceptors for the PN. So we just basically, if you look at that, the actual new changes start on page 158, and we just took the same information pretty well that had been under, as far as preceptor information for the RN, and put it underneath the PN. And I did do this with our legal counsel. So, I think the legality is probably there. There was nothing in statute to say that we cannot have a preceptor in a PN program. So I guess the next step is discussion as to if this is what you want it to say, and then it would have to go to the board tomorrow for them to approve for me to start it through the approval process. If this is what you want.
So we all understand the statute, the law, the revisions, or the regulations underneath that are pieces that the nursing board and this committee takes to the board for any kind of clarification to help implement that statute and that law, so we make sure we're in regulation protocol. So any discussion about this change?
So for those of us that have never used preceptors, I'm a little unsure. So does that mean it just says a registered professional nurse? So it doesn't have to be a BSN? It can be an ADN?
Registered professional nurse is an RN. Yeah, that could be either of the levels.
Okay. I don't know if I would ever use it, but you know,
That's a good
I'm a little
clarification.
frightened with the whole preceptor idea. It looks like a lot of paperwork.
It can be. So it is annual report requires that you list all those and have everything on there. So it's some other. It's one of these things that's optional. I mean, if this passes, it would be an option you could use. It doesn't mean you have to use them. What's that? Will and shall and all those other
Yeah.
words yesterday. May. So it's an option to, another option for you. More discussion?
I think it's positive.
I think it's a good change. I think a lot of our programs.
Okay, I guess we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move to reapprove the revision to KAR 60-2-103 as written.
And the second,
Second.
motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All
Yes.
opposed say no. Any abstentions? That motion carries. I'll not reapprove.
That was just.
Thanks for the clarification, yes. So the person you made the motion,
I make a motion to amend the prior motion. So, and the amendment needs to read as I move to approve the revision to KAR 60-2-103 as written.
Second.
second. With the new motion, everyone in favor say yes.
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 Opposed say no. Any abstentions? I promise that motion carries. Okay. Next thing we have under unfinished business is 2022-2023 nursing and MHD program site visits schedule.
Well, it's growing. What you have in front of you is for fall 22 is that the one thing that's not on here that I did find out in the last couple of weeks is we're adding Fort Lee State University of GNP program. CCNE is coming out to they were in their initial accreditation period. And so
You're adding that this fall.
this fall,
They're not on the
November.
meeting at all.
yeah, they're not, it's not on there right now. It's the week, actually, it's the week after KU, so I just can't remember the dates for sure, but I will get those, because I will need a volunteer to help with that. So it is that third week of November.
The 16th of the week.
Thank you. I was gonna say that and I was afraid. 16th, the 18th. We might be able to do that. A lot of times the CCNE does their exit on Friday morning. We may be able to complete our visit and do our exit at the end of Thursday or the end of the 17th. and just make that a 2-day. We did the BSN in 2019. And actually, we were there, we did review both programs in 2019. But we did say for time period of accreditation, and CCNE is coming back at the end of their initial accreditation. So that's why, after talking with the program administrator, decided and that we should, in following that particular motion, that we would go back out to do that visit along with them. And that is just for us, just the DMP program. And then we'll also need to add in, and I'm not sure where it will go, but we will be adding probably, we may be waiting till spring to do the Ottawa. I'll have to get those dates in there and I'll let everybody know, because again, I will need some volunteers for that. Right now in the spring, we have 4 of them there on the calendar, 2 that are already scheduled. And I don't have dates for the other 2 yet, but
So when you get some dates, then this team can help.
I will send those out to all of you, and if there's anybody that can help. I think the X's are the ones that I've already confirmed for this fall. Actually, I'm sorry, Michelle, I don't have you down for the Wichita, but that's confirmed, but I think we did talk about that. So I think we're good for the ones that we have. Other than the Fort Hays State, and I will just send a reminder out to all of you, and if you would look at calendars.
And we're already scheduling next fall, getting those on the books already too, for 23.
Yes. Already got a couple dates for next. What I have on there, I do need to double check. I had double checked the ones here. I did get a reminder yesterday from someone else. I think that is not on here that I will need to add. So, yeah. I don't know when this grew so much, but it's just.
Appreciate the help from the team, because without
Absolutely.
that help, this can't happen. It's not a one person. And so if you can do 1 or 2 of those, or 1 a semester, that would help.
I don't know if it'll come up with work days. I just need to double check.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll put you down as a question mark and then follow up. Thank you.
Anything else with that, Janelle?
I think that's all. I just wanted to make you aware that I've grown a little bit, so.
So those of us for next fall, I'm gonna already send you dates, right?
Okay, yes, anybody who has a fall, I usually send out, just to let you know, I usually send out something about 6 months ahead of time. To ask about dates if I have not already received something. Many times the accreditation folks already have those scheduled a year ahead of time. So the sooner I get dates, the better I can plan. But that's what I try to do for the program administrators. Is at least 6 months ahead if I haven't already gotten a date to get that.
I did have a question yesterday with our council's meetings. Somebody asked, how much in advance do you need all the paperwork for that site visit?
We ask in our site visit guidelines that we receive a self-study, and there's some initial, like the handbooks and things like that, that we ask for 30 days ahead of time. I think accreditation may be a little bit farther ahead of that.
I lied, I said 6 weeks, but if I say 6 weeks, maybe I'll get it there in 30. 30 days.
We always say, earlier is definitely better, but I think our guidelines do say at least 30 days ahead of time. So no later than 30 days prior.
Thanks for that clarification. Anything else with site visit?
I think that's it.
Okay, we'll move to petitions. There was a list in our packet.
Yes, you have a list on the last page of 152 of your packet. You had 4 requests for petitions this time, and you have the information for the 4 that are there. We just,
Any questions for Janelle with the petition?
we had 3 new and 1 repeat.
No questions, then I guess we're ready for a motion.
I move to approve the petition for permission to retest summary for May 28th, 2022 through August 12th, 2022, which includes Stephanie Bergerinovic, Mara Kalbani, Sienna Bateman, and Juliana Mensa.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
No. Any abstentions? Okay, that motion carries.
Just out of curiosity, how many times are they unsuccessful before they need remediation and?
Well, the way that our petition process works is they have 24 months to take it and pass. And then the way the board has, our policy at this point, or the way that it's set up, in terms of what the board has required, is that 2 years they have to petition, and they have up to 5 years after graduation to petition. In that process, the petition conditions that we put on those, if you look, I usually put those there because this is kind of what they had decided previously. So in the 2 to 3 year range, it's a little bit shorter. There's a certain number of hours of study plan, some clinical observation that we ask them to do, along with a licensed RN, be able to ask questions, do all that. We require a formal review course. Within the 6 month period before their petition or once they start. We don't require it to be done before they start, but it is required before we consider their conditions complete. So the farther out they get close to that 4 or 5 year, there's more hours on their study plan, there's more clinical observation required. And they also may get a class audit added to. Meaning we want them to audit a class, listen in, be able to ask questions in a group with a faculty member. And we tell them to pick a course that covers the NCLEX areas that they have not passed. So if they haven't passed any of them, they have to find something to cover all 8. I usually suggest if they ask a med surg type class. Otherwise they can pick, I've had people pick pharmacology classes. I had one even do a med term. She was English as a second language and passed her boards at that point. So it's just, those are the requirement is audit a class that covers those areas. And so they have to get permission to do that, and they have a year to complete those petitions. But once they reach 5 years in Kansas, we say they need to repeat their nursing program. So depending on the level of, they have to retake their nursing courses. And then we tell them it's up to the school. They don't have to redo a degree because they've already got a degree. That hasn't changed. They just don't have a license. So they have to find a program that will allow them to take the nursing courses again, and they have to pass them. And it's up to the school, whoever they would choose, whether they have to retake any prereqs. We just require that nursing courses be retaken.
So if that school allows them to come back and take their nursing classes and then they test and they're not successful.
Doesn't matter, they've already not passed. So it doesn't affect their rates because they're still, their degree is still under the original school. So that makes me.
And is this like a one unsuccessful? I mean, like 2 unsuccessful attempts, like how many attempts? Or is it just based on years?
It's based on number of attempts, how they've, and we haven't looked at it in a while, but how it's but now is if they have less than three or less areas that they've been unsuccessful, there's a little less, it's a little less intensity. The more areas they have, then it gets a little more, their study plans get bigger, their requirements get a little bit higher there. But up through 5 years, they can still take it as many times. They just have to petition each time they take it. So if they do all their conditions and take it and fail, they have to repetition, go through the process, they don't get to go back to their old study plan that they just completed. They have to do a new one. Figure out what their new areas are. So that's how the plan exists right now. Basically, the regulation says that the board can impose conditions on the petition. And the board at one point had decided that these are the conditions that they apply.
That's after a 2 year mark after there's investment. So, any other questions for Jeanette?
I hope that went too much.
Hey, we finished that motion. And so agenda for December. The annual report information. And
And the reapproval
the reapproval
of the programs
with that data.
and yeah, so I don't think I have any. So
And Carol, correctly, tomorrow, the board will decide about in what fashion we meet in December. Okay. So we'll, that to be announced. We'll decide tomorrow where we go from here and how we handle that. Anything else? We have a motion for adjournment, so we can just do that, right? You don't have to have a motion.
And motion to adjourn.
Want everybody to know it did take at least an hour to do that. I didn't want to make it less than an hour.
It's a little bit of a light agenda.
Yeah.
A light agenda.
Like a record.
Don't get used to it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.